Can you imagine a single vote changing the course of a nation's history? That's exactly what happened with Brexit. Picture it. The 23rd of June, 2016, the United Kingdom stands at a crossroads, the European Union referendum poised to tip the scales. The results were razor-thin, with 51.9% voting to leave, and 48.1% choosing to remain. A nation divided, a future uncertain. And so, the stage was set for a tumultuous journey. With the people's decision in, the path to Brexit started. But it was no smooth sailing. It was in March of 2017 when the United Kingdom officially triggered Article 50, setting off a 2-year countdown to its departure from the European Union. This was a point of no return, marking the beginning of a complex and tumultuous journey of negotiations. The talks between the UK and EU were far from straightforward. They covered a broad spectrum of issues, from trade to citizens' rights. The question of trade was particularly thorny, with the two sides struggling to agree on terms that would protect their respective economies without undermining their sovereignty. Then there were the rights of citizens to consider. Millions of people had made their homes in the UK or EU countries, and their future was suddenly uncertain. The negotiations sought to protect these individuals and their families, but it was a delicate balancing act that took time and patience to navigate. Next, the issue of the Irish border reared its head, adding another layer of complexity to the proceedings. The peace established by the Good Friday Agreement hung in the balance, and finding a solution that would prevent a hard border became a critical part of the negotiations. In the midst of all these, Prime Minister David Cameron resigned, and Theresa May stepped up to the plate. She was tasked with steering the UK through these uncharted waters, a responsibility she took on with determination. The Brexit saga was far from over. In fact, it was just getting started. The road to Brexit was a roller coaster filled with ups, downs, twists, and turns. Theresa May, the Prime Minister who took the helm after David Cameron's resignation, faced a daunting task. She had to negotiate a Brexit deal that would satisfy the UK Parliament, the European Union, and the British public. Her approach was marked by a series of proposals, all aimed at striking a balance between maintaining economic ties with the EU while regaining control over immigration and sovereignty. However, the road to consensus was steep and slippery. Each of May's proposals faced severe criticism, both from those who deemed them too soft, a Brexit in name only, and from those who thought they were too hard, risking economic damage and a potential fracturing of the United Kingdom. Every single one of her deals was ultimately rejected by the UK Parliament, plunging the Brexit process into a state of uncertainty and turmoil. Theresa May's inability to secure a favorable deal led to her resignation in July of 2019. In her place, Boris Johnson, a charismatic and polarizing figure, took the reins. He promised to deliver Brexit do or die, injecting a fresh dose of optimism or dread, depending on which side of the fence one sat. The general elections of December 2019 were a pivotal moment in the Brexit saga. A clear mandate for Brexit emerged, with Johnson's Conservative Party winning a significant majority. This win gave the government the legislative muscle it needed to push through its Brexit agenda. The roller coaster seemed to be finally nearing its end. As we know, politics is never that simple. The road to Brexit was far from smooth, even with a clear mandate, but that's a story for another scene. Finally, after a long and tumultuous journey, the UK was on the brink of leaving the EU. On the 31st of January 2020, the UK officially left the EU, but the story didn't end there. Following the dramatic exit, a transition period ensued, an interval that stretched until the final day of 2020. During this time, the United Kingdom and the European Union sat across negotiation tables discussing, debating, and defining the terms of their future relationship. In the heart of these negotiations, key points emerged like trade and fishing rights. The UK sought to regain control over its waters, while the EU aimed to secure access for its member states. The trade agreement, on the other hand, was a labyrinth of discussions, revolving around tariffs, quotas, and regulations. The final agreement was a complex tapestry of compromises and concessions, a testament to the intricacies of such a colossal separation. And so the UK stepped into a new era, outside of the EU, a decision that will shape its future in ways we can only imagine. Brexit, a historic event that has forever changed the course of the UK and Europe. We've journeyed through the seismic EU referendum, the initiation of Article 50, the complex negotiations, and the political roller coaster that followed. The final departure of the UK from the EU marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Whether Brexit will be a triumph or a tragedy, only time will tell. But one thing is certain: it has left an indelible mark on history.